Is there anything you would have done differently?
Well, I should answer that question by saying, Jenny, I think it worked because it was locked into a schedule. I couldn't change that. I couldn't have shortened the schedule. In hindsight, I don't think I could have made it less expensive or faster. I could not cut corners and avoid secondary treatment. Although, but that's a good question. Let me tell you why. The advisory board is a group of citizens, okay? 2 from every community and some at-large members. And they meet every month. And I've gone to their meetings, by the way, and they're always sort of impressed when I do that. I mean, it's sort of interesting that I should show up at the Lexington Town Hall when they're having a meeting that night. I would give them notice that I'd like to come out and talk to them because the support of the community was so important. But in hindsight, they said, not hindsight, but they said, Judge, we're not sure you need 4 batteries for secondary treatment. We think you can do less. So you know what we did halfway through the project? We scrapped battery D. That was a big savings. Not me, Jenny, but the advisory board. I mean, they got together, they sat down with the board of directors, they sat down with the people at the MWRA and said, you really ought to think about this thing. Maybe you are building a bigger Cadillac when you do very, very fine with the, regular size. And they were right, you see. When I think about it now you've asked the question, you've sort of triggered a thought of mine that actually the difficulty of the case and the lack of precedent made it sort of easier for me to chart my own course, didn't it? I knew I had to do a number of things. I knew I had to immediately cite, or I didn't know. I didn't do this. Let me just be sure you make it clear that I did not do this. But I knew that a waste treatment plant would have to be sited, and that was going to be a major problem. I knew that once it was going to be sited, it was going to have to stop, it was going to have to treat wastewater and sewage. And I knew that it was going to have to get rid of it somehow, dump it somehow. And I knew those are the major things that a wastewater plant had to do. You had to build one, you had to accept the sewage and water and treat it, and then get rid of it.
Right.
So along the way, we divided those major objectives into smaller segments that we frankly called milestones. And those milestones were the key to the compliance reports, the schedules. I think a key decision, the citing and the milestones and the dates and all fell into plan because the engineers at the authority and the project managers of the Metcalf and Eddies and Bechtel and the other companies out there drew up a grand computer-generated cleanup schedule. It was thick. They called it the Critical Path Method, CPM. And this had thousands of steps that had to be taken in order to achieve every milestone. You just flip the pages, flip the pages, flip the pages. That's what made my compliance report somewhat easy, because they told me that as far as the secondary treatment is concerned, or as far as primary treatment is concerned, by this date, under primary treatment milestone, they had these steps that had to be taken. And they would demolish sedimentation tank number 1, and they would send out bids for sedimentation to replace. And all along that line, they would have the steps that were taken, so at the end, it would be done completed. And they were all dated. So I could read that, and I knew that, for example, by the 1st of February of 1987, that the bids were supposed to be in on this project. And on the 15th of March, the executive director would send me his report. And it said, completed, or not completed. I would assign it to a monitor, who in this case was my law clerk. Rebecca Tyler is my current monitor. She reads the reports in, and she tells me what they've done and what they haven't done. And then we get together and we write our own order, which was something like, in a sort of a easygoing way, why haven't you done this? You promised me you were going to do this, and why haven't you done it? And just get it done. I'll give you another 30 days, or I'll give you less time, but tell me, if you got a good reason, fine. So we had it made out so that we could go step by step, and it led me down to that 1999 date. See, that's, again, it all falls into place. The most difficult case in the world, to you, to me, with the right tools and the right people, did not. A lot of work. Never anything but work. But not, I think, a difficult case. The critical path method made it easy.